Okay, this is part 2 of my Ask Me Anything episode. So if you haven't listened to part 1 yet, definitely go back and start there because that's where I covered more of just Disney World planning things. But today's episode is a little bit more, kind of a little bit of everything in a good way. We're talking about resorts and food and just kind of more opinion-based questions about my business, and some personal questions. So I'm going to just jump right back in where we left off. If you missed part 1, I will link it in the show notes. Without further ado, let's get into these questions. Hello, and welcome to the Laid Back Magic Way podcast. I'm your host, Dana Stanley, creator of Laid Back Magic. As a mom of 3, I know how tough it can be to find time to plan a Disney World trip that doesn't leave you feeling stressed or overwhelmed. That's why I'm here, to help moms like you create Disney vacations that feel even better than they look on paper. Here, we're not chasing perfection, but creating our next favorite memories. So whether you're brand new to Disney or looking to go deeper into the details, this podcast is your go-to for simple tips, mindset shifts, real-life trip recaps, and expert insights to make your trip magical and manageable. New episodes drop every Monday, so be sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment. Okay, let's dive in. Rebecca Halsman asked, favorite quick service in each park? This is actually pretty easy for me. Magic Kingdom, none. But if I have to choose, I don't hate Pecos Bills. And it ends up being like in a good spot for us. We usually kind of end up around that area around lunch, and it kind of breaks it up and makes it easy for us. In Epcot, I love La Cantina. Again, we always end up around there, and it's just like a good break in Mexico. We can sit outside. The kids all like the food there. I can get a margarita. Everyone's happy. Hollywood Studios is, for now, always going to be Docking Bay 7. I think they have really, really good food. It is on the pricier side for a quick service, and I usually forget until I'm there and paying, but the food is decent. And then Animal Kingdom, my favorite is definitely Saltuli Canteen. It's in Pandora World. I like being around there around lunch, and it works out really well doing rider switch for Avatar Flight of Passage, and we can sit inside or outside. I love that they have like real bowls and real utensils, and it just doesn't feel like theme park food. It's just like a really nice break. It's kind of like a Chipotle style, like they have bowls, but you can really create whatever you want. And the kids like it too, which is a plus. Mary Caitlin Duffy asked, favorite non-character table service, both in parks and at resorts? This one is harder because it depends. There's like a few that I really like, but I don't have a lot that are like in the parks. So when we say like favorite non-character table service, I just want to say, if I pick my favorites, they're always going to be the resort restaurants are definitely more of my leaning, but completely like not thinking about it to death and just shooting from my hip here. I'll give you each of my favorite in the parks, and then I'll give you just my top table service that are at the resorts. So Magic Kingdom, Jungle Navigation Co., i.e. Skipper's Canteen, is going to be my favorite non-character table service. Epcot is a lot harder because there's just so many. I'm going to pick 2. I'm going to cheat. So I really like Spice Road Table. It's very chill. You like never need a reservation or can get a reservation very easily. It's like tapas style. Again, like just a great break from the usual food, like olives and meats. And they have a really good wine list and you can sit outside. So if it's a nice night, I really like just sitting outside and by the water. But kind of my random favorite in Epcot that's a little surprising to me is Le Chef de France. Just because that's not like my favorite style of food. There's just something about that restaurant. I like being there. I like looking at it. I like being inside. I like knowing that I'm going and just have like fond memories of eating there. I just like it. Hollywood Studios, I don't really have a favorite, but if I have to sit down somewhere without characters in Hollywood Studios, it's going to be Hollywood Brown Derby. And then in Animal Kingdom, Tiffin's. Tiffin's is fantastic, and I love it. Now, my top sit-down restaurants, you wrote table service. I'm kind of going more like signature dining here. I love Citricos at Grand Floridian. I love Jico at Animal Kingdom Lodge. I also like Sanaa, also at Animal Kingdom Lodge. I like the Boathouse in Disney Springs, which is not a resort. I'm cheating, so let me think of the other resorts. It's not like my absolute favorite, but if I'm going Italian and or I'm staying at beach, yacht, or boardwalk, I like the Trattoria at the boardwalk. Emily BK23 asked, thoughts on Chef Mickey's? Chef Mickey's is my least favorite dining experience in all of Disney World, character dining specifically. And I'm sorry, because I know people like it. And this is one of the very, very, very few things I feel a little bit passionate about and I'm never here to yuck anyone's yum, but I will, if you've never been to Disney World and you've never been to Chef Mickey's, I'm going to try to talk you out of it. And this is assuming that you are not staying at the Contemporary, right? If you are going out of your way to have a Mickey character meal, I don't really think you should be going to the Contemporary. The Contemporary just feels old to me, which obviously it is old. I don't like the smell at the Contemporary. I'm very sensitive to the smells and energy, and there's just something roller skating rink to me about the Contemporary. And then Chef Mickey's in particular, where it is at the Contemporary, it's just very loud and it's not cheap. It's still a character meal price. It's a buffet, which I don't love. And most people are going to Chef Mickey's. It's not easy to get a reservation, and it's crowded and it's popular. So I'm going to try to talk you out of it. If I want to see Mickey at a character dining experience, I will truly go anywhere else. But my top pick would be Topolino's. Tusker House would also be good. Garden Grill would also be good. But for a resort Mickey character breakfast, definitely head over to the Riviera. You're going to have such a better time at Topolino's than at Chef Mickey's. I'm going to leave a link to my episode where I rate all of the character dining, where I go into a little bit more detail about this. Making Magic with Murray asked how to juggle Disney work with being present/engaged with kids at home. So she's not referring to getting content in the parks and how to focus on the kids. This is just, we have businesses that revolve around Disney. We're working from home with kids. It's very, very hard. I do not have a very good balance in the sense of it's really hard to separate it in my mind. And I know a lot of moms know that feeling of you're working and thinking you should be with your kids, and then you're with your kids and you're thinking about working. I am a lot better than I used to be when I was building Laid Back Magic, in 2022, making it hadn't launched yet. I was home with Sailor and I was very distracted. It was all I could think about was Laid Back Magic. And I hate that. I hate that it was like that. And now that I have a third kid, I know it goes by so fast. And I think giving birth and breastfeeding and having hormones, I genuinely think and know that the hormones affect your brain and your memory and just brain fog in general. So when I think back and I'm oh, I don't even remember because I was distracted thinking about business. I have gotten a lot better when it comes to that. I don't feel as distracted. I think just because I have more context and just have grown up a little bit, to be honest. But when it comes to the scheduling of my day and actually working, I am sometimes, quote, working while my toddler is awake and with me. I'm not saying that I'm not on my phone way too much, but honestly, that's just me being, frankly, just addicted to my phone. a problem and I hate it and I'm working on it. I thankfully got a Brick, which has really, really helped. If you haven't heard of Brick, it is an app that connects to a physical product where you can literally lock yourself out of your social media, your email. You can pick and choose and customize what you want, but you can also set a time. So from 8 p.m. to 9 a.m., my phone is locked out of social media, which is a big help. And besides answering like member questions, I don't really work while he's awake. I do all of my work during his nap. So I don't wake up before the kids. I'm not up at like 5 a.m. working. I have had times in my life where I did do that and had to do that. Not doing that right now. And sometimes that takes a little bit of work of like if I have a guest interview at 1 p.m. for the podcast, I cannot risk that child not napping. He's a very good napper, knock on wood. But for days like that where I really rely on that nap, I will plan to do something kind of bigger that day. We'll go to like 2 playgrounds and we'll get outside like first thing in the morning. Like I'm going to wear him out so that I know that I have his nap. But it is definitely a ongoing challenge that I am always dealing with. I think just getting older and now that I am done having kids, when I am with him, I feel definitely more like with him. At the Destination asked, would love to hear about your Disney business growth and that journey, good, bad, and the ugly. Oh my goodness. I feel like there's been a lot of ugly lately because everything changes so quickly. Like if you have a brand that's online and it's involved like in the travel industry, things ebb and flow so wildly. So things that worked for me in 2023 don't work now. And things that I wasn't doing in 2023, I am doing now, like the podcast. So I think one of the negative things that I do is overthink everything, right? So I think that I have to think everything through and plan it before I start something. And sometimes that can have its benefits, but most of the time I have found that just jumping in and doing something is the best thing to do because you don't know the byproducts of what you're going to learn. If it's a complete failure, you're still like one step closer to figuring out the thing that does work. When I started the podcast, it was really because I was burnt out on Instagram. I could not show up on Instagram every single day. I felt guilty if I wasn't posting a reel every day. And because the algorithm is so good, I was only seeing Disney content and it felt like very uninspiring because I don't really love trends and I'm naturally like turned off by trends. So when something becomes trendy that I'm doing, it's like I have like an aversion to it. And the things that I was hoping to get out of the podcast originally didn't actually come to fruition. Like I had different reasoning of why I wanted to do the podcast, but the byproducts of the podcast that have been wonderful, I had no idea. It was not in the plan. And I'm so glad that I just kind of, I'm going to start a podcast and no matter what, I'm doing an episode every week. And now it's been over a year. And it's something that I found that I really, really like that I didn't know that I would really, really like. And I think a lot of people don't realize, I had a business before this business. So there were some things that I kind of carried into this business that I didn't have to relearn, which was really helpful. And also my Instagram, Summer Worthwhile, I was sharing Disney tips and tricks before that page on my personal page. So this has been, 8, 9, maybe even 10 years of slowly stacking things and learning things and adding things. It was not all at once. It was having that foundation and then slowly stacking things over time. I want to talk about something we don't admit to ourselves enough, and that's planning a Disney trip is emotional. You're not just picking a resort or just deciding which parks to visit. You're trying to create a memory your kids will carry into adulthood, and that can feel big. It is big. That's why I love sending people to my friend Sarah, aka the Main Street Mom. She plans Disney in this really grounded way that I absolutely love. She handles Disney World, Disneyland, cruises, and yes, even if you're using DVC points. She's the person who will take control if and when you need it. She can book your dining, your enchanted extras, your Lightning Lane pre-selects, watches for discounts, all the stuff that, when done right, can make a trip that's unforgettable in all the best ways. And she doesn't just vanish once you book. If you get her full service package, which is 3 or more park days, she'll hop on planning calls with you, send you reminders, book your Lightning Lanes and dining for you, and she's on call during your trip, which when you're a mom, you know is priceless. And don't worry if you've already booked your own trip. She offers a la carte planning packages starting at just $50, so you can still get extra help. Find the link for both in the show notes. RC Shelley asked, favorite Disney character or movie? And biggest Disney faux pas? Oh my gosh, this is impossible. This is impossible to answer. My favorite Disney character or movie? Can I have categories? like Disney and then Pixar and then like underrated or something. I will tell you my biggest Disney faux pas though. And that is like when people don't clean up after themselves and or their kids at like a restaurant in Disney, especially at quick service. I will clear the table and pick up, I'm not picking up crumbs, but you got to get down on the floor and like pick stuff up. And I know that there's people there paid to clean, and they are cleaning after me. Don't get me wrong, with the high chairs and the table, there's sticky stuff that I'm not cleaning up. But all of the little napkins and little wrappers or little pieces of plastic from your kids' toys or wet wipes, like I think that should all be cleaned up and your trays put away. The chairs should be pushed in. Like I just have a little bit of a pet peeve when people leave their space an absolute mess and expect people to clean up after them. And again, I know that they're paid to clean up after them, but they're not paid to clean up that type of chaos that I see people leave sometimes. So that's definitely, I think, a little bit of a faux pas, if that's considered a faux pas. So most of my favorite Disney movies are animal related, particularly tiny mice. So I grew up watching The Great Mouse Detective. I could cite the script probably verbatim. And then also The Rescuers Down Under, Fox and the Hound. I was influenced by my big sister because those were her favorite, were just the really cute animated characters. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. That was my first chapter of Disney movies as a kid. I was never super into the princesses. I was more of like a Lion King, Pocahontas. I really liked Aladdin. I did like Beauty and the Beast. I would say Belle is probably my favorite princess, but I also like Rapunzel. But thinking back to like the OGs and when I was a kid, Belle was definitely up there. And then 2 like underrated movies that I really, really like are A Bug's Life. I was just talking to my friend about this. We did not have a lot of DVDs growing up. We had maybe like 5 or 6, and one of them was Bug's Life. And my dad, who doesn't really get into movies that much, was really into A Bug's Life, and we would watch that a lot, particularly for the sound effects. Like my dad was really into sound effects. And after I had kids, the truck that I had before the one I'm driving now had a DVD player, which sounds really cool, but DVDs are getting like old and kind of antiquated. So only like one of the slots worked on my DVD player. So if Story wanted to watch a movie, it was either Bug's Life or Monsters, Inc. And I have listened to both of those movies so many times, and I love them both. But put on Bug's Life and just kind of like have it on in the background, and you'll see what I mean of how good the sound effects are. And then my second underrated movie is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. That has my favorite song in it, which is Out There. Such a banger. I love that movie. It's dark. I hate recommending it to people because if you put it on for your toddler, it's terrifying. But I like that it's dark. I like that it's based off of a real time period and a real place and a real book, which, fun fact, the novel is by Victor Hugo, and the three gargoyles in the movie are Victor and Hugo. And then there's Laverne, and I don't know where Laverne comes from. I'll have to look that up, but I just always thought that was cute. Emily M. Moe asked, what would you do if your kids ever told you they were, quote, over Disney? Cry face. It's terrible to say. I just don't think they'll ever say that. If they told me, because we go to Disney World a lot, if they said, I'm over Disney World, I think I'd honestly be fine with it. Like, my heart wouldn't really be broken, to be honest, because I understand. I would suggest if I wanted to go somewhere Disney, if I was craving that and they said, oh, we always go to Disney World, I'm so over it, I think I would just suggest, okay, would you rather go to California? Do you want to go to Tokyo? Do you want to go on a cruise? Like, what are you feeling? You feeling and kind of take it from there. I don't think I would be upset because like my love or like my family's love is not really a love of Disney World per se. It's a love of Disney. And like my 10-year-old was writing yesterday a story on my laptop. Like she asked to open a Google Doc and just write a story. And I know that stems from having like a very early appreciation for storytelling in general. And I think just Disney and Disney movies, hopefully, maybe I had a hand in that, but just her having an appreciation for a good character or good music. I think that can expand, so much further than going to Disney. My friend Nikki did a trip to England, and I'll touch on this in a second, where she visited like kind of the real life 100-Acre Wood, which was like the inspiration behind the Winnie the Pooh stories. And that's the kind of stuff that I would love to do. Like that, I still get a little bit of my Disney fix, but we could travel anywhere in the world and find some kind of connection back to that, I think. Happy Haunts Plan Magic asked, how are you feeling about the big 10th birthday coming up for Story? It's crazy. I can't believe that she's going to be 10. And it like surprised me. Like I only even realized this like a few months ago. I was like, wait, you're 9? That means that you're going to be 10? Like it just doesn't make any sense because I just had her. I just gave birth to her. But I know every parent feels that way. But in terms of her age and how much her personality has changed and just parenting, like parenting is starting to get a little harder for me. I think that some people are naturally really good with babies and some people are really good with toddlers and some people are good with just different age kids and they usually struggle with the other ages. I love the newborn stage and the baby stage and even a little bit of the toddler stage. As she has gotten older and has more opinions and she's, emotionally just like a copy and paste version of me, the good, the bad, the ugly, it's been interesting. It's been a little harder for me. You have to, as your kids get older, you start seeing a little bit of a mirror and you have to face things within yourself that maybe are a little uncomfortable. But if I can answer unselfishly and just Story as a person and just how much personality she has and how different she is than even just last year, we're going back to Disney in just a couple months and I'm excited to see the changes already of what she'll be into, what she'll be more into, and like the new things she'll try as a big 10-year-old. Diane M. Mulvihill asked, what is one of your favorite Disney memories with each of your kids? So with Story, when she was 2, I have a memory of seeing the fireworks, and the fireworks were not the memory. It was while we were waiting for the fireworks. So we had a fireworks dessert party, and then we went out onto the plaza. And I don't know if it was like the sugar, to be honest, But when your kid just gets in this like really goofy mood, but it wasn't hyper. She just kind of started getting a little goofy. And then I was holding her. I think we were maybe even like I picked her up to maybe even get a picture. And this is probably why the memory is so like fresh in my mind, is because we have video of it. It kind of just happened because she was just hugging me. Like she kept hugging me and hugging me and hugging me. She was just like vibrating of like just so happy. She was so happy to be there. She was so excited that the fireworks were coming. Nothing was really going on. We were just like waiting, which can kind of be a little dreaded sometimes. And I think that's what made it so special. And she was holding onto my neck, and then she would like pull back and like look at me, and then she'd smile, and then she'd hug me again. And she was nuzzling my nose. It was just so sweet. I remember it so well, and I'm going to stop because I'll start crying. And then Sailor, my middle, I have really cute memories with her of like seeing characters. She was kind of the first one to get a little bit more into the characters than my oldest. Specifically, when we went to Crystal Palace, we went there for breakfast. I think it was an early reservation, and it just kind of was a little bit more empty. And the characters were able to spend more time, I think, at our table. And she was so into Piglet. And I mean, she was into all of them. And she just kept saying how, I think she said fluffy or fuzzy. Just like, they're so soft. They're so fluffy. And she would like rub their bellies. She loved their costumes. And Piglet got down on her level and was like almost like bear hugging her, but they were playing like peekaboo together. And she just had the biggest smile on her face. And it was really adorable. And then my youngest, Crusoe, is funny because I think he's been to Disney 4 times, and he's 2. Like, he went a lot. Like, we did a bunch of trips when he was really little. So in my mind, that's what pops up is before he was walking. Like, we barely had shoes on him. I remember going into some of the rides, and they were like, oh, the baby needs shoes. And I was like, what? He doesn't walk. So like that age, he wasn't even walking yet. And he was getting very responsive to music. And I hadn't really seen that before the Disney trip until we were getting on like It's a Small World or the Grand Fiesta Tour. I remember that specifically in Epcot, where he would kind of like, he'd put one hand up, he'd like rock his little belly back and forth, and you could feel him like he was on my lap and we're on these rides. And you could feel him like going with the beat. And it was just so adorable of like, look at him going with the music. He hasn't been on like any bigger rides yet. So I think that's what I'm most excited about with him is like riding Barnstormer for the first time. He's like the crazy thrill-seeking boy. And I think that is going to be very fun and funny. She also asked, where else in the world do you hope to visit someday? And I started to touch on this, but my top answers right now, I think, are England and or Paris. Even though I feel like we have traveled quite a bit, we have not been to Europe yet. And I think I know we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to like do a lot of things while we're, quote, over there. So it's hard to narrow it down. And I think just the thought of a longer flight while the kids have been little just has me kind of putting it off. We've done a lot of flights with the kids. Like it's rarely a direct flight when we go to the Bahamas or like Rosemary Beach, but we have yet to get over the hump of like a long flight. So I think just getting that out of the way and like that under my belt would be a relief for me. And then I think like a whole wide world would open up for us. No pun intended. Tracy Ann Mill asked, what hormone therapy are you on and is it helping? Sorry if that's too personal. No, not too personal. I had mentioned on the podcast that I was not feeling good at all. Energy, mood, all of the things were going on. So after months and months of trying to just regulate my hormones on my own and do some natural supplements and diet and exercise, blah, 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 it did not work. So I did start off with a low dose of both progesterone and testosterone. Yes, women need testosterone. Mine was at like a 0.2. Like I didn't have any. So what ended up happening was, long story short, I did not do well on progesterone. I know it helps a lot of my friends and they love it. It did the opposite for me. It had all of the bad symptoms that I was having and made them so much worse. It made me incredibly puffy. I've never retained water like that in my life, even when I was pregnant. It was just awful. So that was like a 2-week trial run until I was like, no way, Jose, this is not worth it. Now, the low dose testosterone has been helping, and I do like that. I'm sleeping better. I have more energy, although I would love to have a little bit more. But the biggest thing I've seen from that is in my joints and in my muscles. So when you learn more about low testosterone in women, it can cause your muscles to literally atrophy. And it's like a soreness that I was having that I didn't realize I had until it went away. So I had said to my doctor, I can't work out like before when I was having the low energy and all of these problems. And when I'd say that to even my husband or my friends, it's like, yeah, I understand. Like it's really hard when you haven't been working out for a while to get back into the groove or you're weak. But this was more than that. Like I could not work out. And now I realize it's because my muscles were not firing the way that they should be from the low testosterone. So as soon as I got those levels just a little bit up, I felt it right away, where even like walking up the stairs felt different. Playing on the street with the kids felt different. It was like this pain, this like creakiness went away. I bought a walking pad, so I'm able to just walk a lot more while I'm at home or while crew is napping. I'll probably do this after I record. And that has been wonderful just of itself. I wouldn't say that I'm 100% back to how I remember feeling before I had Crusoe. And that's like where I would really love to be, but I'm definitely better. And then the last question is at Oodalolly, I think is what it's called. Cute. Best follows for same vibes for Disneyland and Disneyland Paris. So I have a great recommendation for Disneyland. That's my friend Nikki. We actually collaborated on a Disneyland guide together. Her tag is Mornings with Nikki, and I'll link her in the show notes. And Disneyland Paris, I don't have a strictly Disneyland Paris girly, but I do have my friend Jen, who has been to Disneyland Paris and has blog posts and lots of content about Disneyland Paris that I will also link in the show notes for you. That's everything for today's Ask Me Anything. I feel like that was such a good mix of questions. All right, I will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Laid Back Magic Way podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode and it was helpful for you, it would mean the world to me if you'd write a quick review. Your reviews help more moms like you find the show, and I read every single one of them. Seriously, thank you in advance. You can find me on Instagram at Somewhere Worthwhile, and I'd love to hear from you there. DM me if you have any questions about this episode or what you'd like to see in future ones. Until then, keep planning for your next favorite memory, and I'll see you next time.